Imagine if the first moment of today could map out your entire day. Most people look at their phones as soon as they open their eyes, get lost in their thoughts, and spend the day haphazardly. But if you spend just a few moments filling your heart and mind with a powerful psalm, your thoughts, decisions, and environment can all change. This small step can change the direction of your day, starting right now. Ladies and gentlemen, every day you wake up, you're stepping into a brand new opportunity. The morning is not just the start of another 24 hours. It's the foundation for your entire day. The decisions you make, the words you speak, and the thoughts you think before the sun reaches its peak are the blueprint for what will follow. The way you begin your morning sets the tone for your entire day. Most people underestimate how powerful the first hour of the morning really is. It's like the foundation of a building. If the foundation is crooked or weak, the structure on top of it will struggle to stand firm. In the same way, if your morning begins in confusion, negativity, or hurry, it's likely the rest of your day will feel the same. But when you intentionally create a solid spiritual and mental foundation, everything else becomes steadier. Beginning the day with a psalm is one of the most effective ways to do this because it gives you a clear anchor. Instead of letting random thoughts or external pressures determine your first mood, you are choosing to root yourself in timeless words of life. This is not just a religious ritual, it's an educational practice for your inner life. Every psalm carries principles about gratitude, trust, courage, wisdom, and perseverance. When you engage with a psalm in the morning, you are training your mind to think higher thoughts before you face lower distractions. You are teaching your emotions to respond from a place of calm rather than chaos. Think of it as programming your inner software at the start of every day. Just as a computer runs better after an update, your mind and spirit run better after you input truth and perspective from something enduring and uplifting. Morning hours are also the time when your mind is most impressionable. Neuroscientists talk about the theta state, the moments just after waking up when your brain is more open to suggestion and learning. This means whatever you expose yourself to in those first few minutes can go deep into your subconscious. If you scroll social media, you are feeding your subconscious with distractions and comparison. If you rehearse your worries, you're planting seeds of anxiety that will sprout later. But if you start with a psalm, you're planting seeds of stability, gratitude, and confidence. Throughout the day, when challenges arise, those seeds bear fruit. You find yourself calmer, clearer, and stronger because you already programmed your heart for resilience. Another overlooked part of beginning your day with a psalm is the way it reminds you of your identity. We live in a world full of noise, advertisements telling you who you should be, people's expectations pressing on you, circumstances pulling you in many directions. When you start your day without grounding, it's easy to drift into roles and reactions that are not truly yours. A psalm recenters you. It speaks to the deepest part of you, affirming that you are not defined by today's problems but by eternal principles. It's like looking into a mirror of your true self before stepping out into the world. You carry that clarity with you, and it shapes your decisions, your conversations, and even the way you see opportunities. This daily practice also helps you become proactive instead of reactive. Most people wake up and immediately respond, checking messages, thinking about problems, reacting to schedules. But beginning with a psalm is an act of leadership over your own life. You're telling yourself, I decide how this day will begin. That single decision gives you a sense of agency and stability that can influence everything else. Even when difficulties arise, you've already framed your day with hope and strength. It's like putting on armor before stepping onto a battlefield. Finally, starting your day with a psalm doesn't only change you, it changes the atmosphere around you. When you walk into a room centered, peaceful, and focused, other people notice. Your tone of voice is calmer, your responses are wiser, and your presence feels steadier. This can transform your relationships, your work environment, and even your family life. People respond differently to someone who is grounded. That grounding came from a simple, intentional choice you made when the day was still young. So when you think about the foundation of your day, don't imagine something complicated or unreachable. Imagine a quiet moment at the beginning of the morning where you choose to open a psalm, read it slowly, reflect on its meaning, and let it speak to you. Imagine carrying those words like a compass as you move through meetings, tasks, and conversations. Over time, this simple habit builds an unshakable inner structure. You're not just surviving days anymore, you're shaping them, and it all begins with that first deliberate step, setting your foundation with a powerful psalm before the noise of the world begins. Speaking or meditating on words of life at the start of the day is not just a nice thought or an empty ritual. It is a deliberate act that carries power. When you wake up, your mind is like fresh soil. It has not yet been trampled by the noise of news, messages, or the demands of others. In that fertile soil, whatever you plant will grow. The principle of declaration works exactly like sowing seed. If you plant hope, you reap hope. If you plant gratitude, you reap gratitude. If you plant negativity, you reap negativity. That is why the first words you speak and the first ideas you entertain are so crucial. They are not random, they are creative. They begin to shape the atmosphere of your day even before you step out of your room. Many people underestimate how much influence their own voice has on their inner life. They think their mood is something that just happens to them. In reality, your words are often the thermostat of your mood. If you start the morning by declaring truth, encouragement, or timeless principles, you are setting the thermostat higher. Even if the day brings cold winds of challenge, you will remain warm inside because you already adjusted the temperature. This is why beginning the day with a psalm or any words of life is more than reading, it is speaking. When you speak out loud, you engage your ears, your mind, and your heart at the same time. You are literally hearing yourself affirm something higher, and that echoes through your whole being. The power of declaration also lies in focus. The modern world constantly competes for your attention. Notifications, headlines, and worries try to rush in before you even have breakfast. If you don't decide your focus early, something else will decide it for you. Starting your day with spoken or meditated words of life is like drawing a boundary line. You are saying, my attention belongs to what strengthens me first. That single act of focus can dramatically improve how you think and act for the rest of the day. Instead of drifting, you're directing. Instead of reacting, you're creating. There is also a scientific side to this principle. When you speak positive, empowering words, your brain releases neurochemicals that influence your mood and energy. Cortisol, the stress hormone, naturally peaks in the early morning. If you immediately feed your mind with anxious or negative input, cortisol stays high and colors your day with tension. But if you start with calm, faith-filled declarations, your body begins to release serotonin and dopamine, chemicals associated with well-being and motivation. In other words, your physical state begins to match your spoken focus. What seems like a spiritual practice also has measurable effects on your mind and body. Another dimension of the power of declaration is discipline. Speaking or meditating on words of life every morning trains you to be consistent. Over time, it becomes a habit, and habits shape character. You are teaching yourself to take responsibility for your mental and emotional state, rather than waiting for circumstances to do it for you. That is a mark of maturity and leadership. You are not just hoping for a good day. You are building one with your own mouth and mind. This practice also reinforces belief. When you hear yourself speak principles of hope, courage, and trust every morning, your subconscious begins to accept them as reality. You are writing a script for your inner world, and your life tends to follow the script you believe. By midday, when difficulties come, you're more likely to act in line with what you declared earlier because it is already imprinted on your mind. This is why soldiers rehearse commands, athletes repeat mantras, and leaders state their vision. They are anchoring themselves in a direction before they move. Finally, the power of declaration affects not just you, but everyone you encounter. The tone of your voice, your posture, and even your decisions carry the residue of whatever you began your day with. If you began with complaint, others will feel it. If you began with strength, they will feel that too. Your words in the morning are like the first brushstrokes on a canvas. They determine the colors of the entire painting. Starting with words of life is not self-help fluff. It's a strategy rooted in how human beings function. It channels your energy, aligns your focus, stabilizes your emotions, and influences your surroundings. So when you think of the power of declaration, picture yourself as an architect every morning. Before the building goes up, you lay the blueprint. Before the day begins, you lay the words. You are not a passive participant. You are a designer. By choosing what to say and think at the start of the day, you are already shaping its outcome. This isn't magic, it's principle, and like any principle, it works when you apply it consistently. Over time, your mornings stop feeling like random events and start feeling like launching pads. Places where you deliberately set the trajectory for everything that follows. Beginning your day with a psalm is much more than a spiritual exercise. It is an act of alignment. Every person carries an inner compass of values, beliefs, and purpose. But life has a way of pulling that compass off course. Demands, expectations, and distractions can quietly nudge you away from who you really are and what truly matters. When you wake up and go straight into emails, news, or social media, you are handing over your focus to forces that don't necessarily reflect your principles. Over time, that can leave you feeling scattered or disconnected from your own sense of direction. Starting the day with a psalm, however, pulls you back to center. It invites you to align your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions with timeless truths before the noise of the day tries to scatter them. This alignment works on several levels. First, it grounds your identity. A psalm speaks to the deeper part of you, the part that knows you are more than yesterday's mistakes or today's pressures. Reading or meditating on its words first thing in the morning reminds you of who you are at the core. It's like checking your reflection before stepping into a crowded room. Make sure you're presentable, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. You walk out into the world less likely to drift into roles or reactions that are not authentic to you because you've already reaffirmed your true self. Alignment also affects your decisions. Much of the stress people feel during the day comes not from the volume of tasks, but from being out of sync with their values. They say yes when they should say no. They pursue goals that don't resonate with their deeper purpose, and by evening they feel drained. Beginning your day with a psalm can act as a quiet filter. Its principles of wisdom, gratitude, courage, or trust can guide you in what to prioritize, how to respond, and what to let go. You are no longer just making decisions on impulse. You are making them from a place of clarity. This can save you hours of frustration and give your day a sense of flow. There is also an emotional benefit to this practice. When your inner life is aligned, your outer life feels calmer. Starting your morning with a psalm slows you down just enough to notice your own feelings before they run off in 10 directions. You give yourself a chance to breathe, reflect, and bring your emotions into harmony with your intentions. Instead of carrying unresolved tension from yesterday into today, you reset. That emotional reset can affect your tone of voice, your patience, and your creativity throughout the day. People around you notice the difference. They respond better to someone who is steady and centered, which in turn makes your environment more cooperative and less stressful. Another important aspect of alignment is focus. A psalm is not just comforting words, it often contains imagery, principles, or challenges that lift your thoughts above daily distractions. In the morning, when your mind is most open and impressionable, that kind of focus can act like a lens. It concentrates your mental energy on what is meaningful instead of scattering it across trivial concerns. Throughout the day, you find it easier to return to that focus because you started with it. It becomes an anchor point you can mentally revisit in stressful moments. A quick realignment when things try to knock you off course. This practice is also about consistency. The more you start your day with alignment, the more natural it becomes. Over time, it shapes your character. You become someone who leads your inner life instead of letting circumstances lead you. That steadiness is attractive to others. People feel safer, calmer, and more inspired around someone whose words and actions match their values. In a sense, you are not just aligning yourself for your own sake, but also setting a tone for everyone you interact with. Your clarity can bring clarity to your workplace, your family, or your community. Finally, aligning with purpose through a psalm in the morning creates a sense of momentum. You're not just reacting to the day as it unfolds, you're moving into it with intention. It's like setting a course before you sail rather than drifting at the mercy of the current. Even if storms come, you know your direction. That confidence changes how you approach challenges, opportunities, and relationships. It gives your day a thread of meaning that ties everything together, so by evening you feel not just tired but fulfilled. This is why the simple act of starting your day with a psalm can be so transformative. It takes just a few moments, but it acts as a daily realignment, pulling your identity, your values, your focus, and your emotions back to a clear center. From that center, your choices, your relationships, and your achievements flow with far less friction. You are not only more productive, but also more at peace, because you are living from alignment rather than from reaction. Over time, this habit can turn ordinary days into purposeful days and give your life a deeper sense of direction, one morning at a time. When you open your day with gratitude, wisdom, and words of life, you are not only preparing yourself internally, but also transforming the atmosphere around you. Every person carries an unseen energy into their environment, the tone of their voice, the look on their face, the pace of their movements, the emotions behind their words. All of this creates a kind of climate wherever they go. If your morning begins in frustration, haste, or negativity, that climate follows you into your home, workplace, and interactions, often spreading stress to others without you even realizing it. But when you start your day with a psalm, focusing on gratitude, strength, and trust, you shift your own inner climate first. You enter the day with a spirit that is calm, confident, and centered, and that spirit becomes contagious. This transformation of atmosphere starts from the inside out. The words you speak in the morning shape your mood, and your mood shapes your presence. People are highly sensitive to the emotional state of others. Even subtle cues like posture or tone can change how a room feels. When you have already fed your heart with words of hope and wisdom, your body language softens, your voice steadies, and your mind clears. You bring an invisible order into spaces that might otherwise be chaotic. Colleagues notice that meetings go smoother when you're there, family members sense more warmth in your interactions, and even strangers feel the difference in your presence. That is the power of beginning your day anchored in something greater than yourself. It's also important to understand that this atmospheric shift isn't about pretending everything is fine or forcing positivity. It's about genuinely centering yourself before you step out. Life will always present challenges, traffic, deadlines, unexpected problems. But when you start from a grounded state, those challenges don't hijack your energy as easily. You can respond with patience instead of irritation, with clarity instead of confusion. Over time, this steadiness can completely change how people relate to you. They begin to see you as someone reliable, uplifting, and balanced, which opens doors of trust and influence. Another dimension of changing the atmosphere is perspective. A psalm often carries images of nature, protection, renewal, or divine guidance. When you meditate on such words at the start of your day, your imagination is filled with larger pictures than your immediate problems. This broadens your perspective and prevents small irritations from dominating your mindset. People around you pick up on this wider view. While others may panic or complain, you're able to speak calm and offer solutions because you've already framed the day differently. In a sense, you become a thermos, that rather than a thermometer. You set the temperature of the environment rather than merely reflecting it. This practice also has cumulative effects. One morning of starting with a psalm will certainly help, but making it a daily rhythm builds a reservoir inside you. Day by day, you're filling yourself with gratitude, wisdom, and strength. When a crisis eventually comes, you're not scrambling to find peace, you've been cultivating it all along. That cultivated peace becomes a shield not only for you, but for those around you. People feel safer and more focused in your presence because you have done the inner work first thing in the morning. Transforming the atmosphere in this way can also inspire others to do the same. When friends, co-workers, or family members notice the consistency of your calm and focus, they often ask what you do differently. Your private practice of beginning with a psalm becomes a public influence without you having to preach or instruct. You're leading by example, showing that it is possible to face busy schedules, difficult people, or uncertain times without losing your center. This quiet leadership is powerful because it draws others upward without pressure. It simply invites them into the peace you carry. Finally, starting your day this way reminds you that you are never powerless over your environment. You may not be able to control every circumstance, but you can control the spirit you bring into it. By opening your morning with gratitude and wisdom, you choose to be a source rather than a sponge, to radiate steadiness rather than absorb chaos. Over time, this not only changes how you experience each day, but also how each day unfolds for the people connected to you. Meetings become more constructive, conversations more respectful, homes more peaceful, and even personal goals more attainable because you've created an environment where growth can happen. So the transformation of atmosphere begins with a simple yet profound habit. Before the phone rings, before the demands start, you take a moment to center yourself in something enduring. You let gratitude, wisdom, and hope fill you first, and then you carry that into every space you enter. This single choice at the start of the day can ripple outward far beyond what you see, touching lives and shaping environments simply because you chose to anchor your morning in a higher perspective. Over time, you discover that you are not just surviving in your world, you are subtly shaping it one morning at a time. Every morning is an unopened gift, and what you choose to do with its first moments determines the quality of everything that follows. When you begin your day with a psalm, you are not simply reading words on a page. You are laying a foundation for strength, focus, and peace. You are declaring life over your mind before the noise of the world arrives, aligning your heart with your highest values, and transforming the atmosphere you will carry into every room. This single, deliberate habit turns ordinary mornings into launching pads for extraordinary days. Start tomorrow with a psalm. Let it set your tone, shape your thoughts, and guide your steps. In time, you will discover that you're not just starting your day well, you're shaping your life well, one morning at a time.